Hello, everyone. Welcome to the UpRev Ninja podcast. If this is your first time listening, thanks for joining us. This show is produced each week with the single intent of discovering the tips, tricks, hacks, and lessons learned from our guests that has catapulted them into living the best version of themselves. Join your host, Tom Hudson, as he continues his search for the best methods to UpRev his life. Now, let's dive into the show.
Today's guest on the UpRev Ninja podcast is Amber Renae. She's a civil engineer, serial entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and digital nomad. Amber Renae inspires women to rediscover their wow factor through presentation, personal branding, and self-love. Not only is she an icon for style, but she's also an icon for women's empowerment through her phenomenal entrepreneur success story, having built 3 six-figure businesses in arguably the toughest industries. She is passionate about sharing her advice, wisdom, and experiences to her peers and 70,000 strong global community. Welcome, Amber Renae, to the UpRev Ninja podcast. How are you today?
I'm so great, Tom. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super pumped to be able to connect with your audience.
Yeah, I'm wicked excited. I checked out your website, and I absolutely love the use of your hashtags, and it's colorful and just the energy that you've got behind it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll have to go out there, and I saw one of the courses you had or products was around how to basically build a website, and want to have to check that out to make mine a little bit better.
Sure. I mean, this is one of the things because I help boss babes and young entrepreneurs. And, I hear stories about people spending $5,000 on a website. And I'm sorry, but when you're starting out, that's totally unacceptable.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Right.
Well, so I already read your bio out to my audience, but I would love to hear who you are in your own words. Take me from the beginning to who you are today and how you got here. What's that journey been like?
Well, the journey has been a bit of a rocky one, as most entrepreneurial journeys are. So I actually started out my life as a civil engineer. So I used to work on a construction site building roads and bridges. Now, if anyone has seen a photo of me and you think that you're in a career that is not suited for you, hello, imagine me on a construction site in hot pink steel cap boots. Totally not my vibe. Lots of fun, but not for me. So I quit that job and I started a fashion label. This was me on a sewing machine. The first week I made four shirts. We sold 4 shirts. The next week I made 8 shirts. We sold 8 shirts. 5 years later, I had 120 accounts around the globe. We exported to Paris, Tokyo, LA, and South Africa. And we dressed some of the biggest celebrities at the time, which back in the day was Paris Hilton. And I can assure you, it used to be cool to dress Paris. And then, this is when the universe stepped in the first time in my life and decided that we're going to take that all away from you. My my factory that I was manufacturing with went out of business, and as a result, took my entire stock, my patents, my fabric, my collections, my money that I'd paid up front. So I basically went bankrupt in the space of in one collection, and it was going to be the breakthrough collection. We sold hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of pre-sale, and we paid all this money to get it produced, and it just never arrived. It never got manufactured. So I went out of business. I had a nervous breakdown on the side of the road. I got taken to hospital. I found out I had cancer. I had stomach ulcers. I was on anxiety, antidepressant tablets. I was a mess. I literally worked myself to death.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not where I thought this was going, but
no.
Okay, great. Well, you're here with us today, so I'm excited to see where this comes out at.
Right. I mean, the physical aspect was a really tough time, but more so during that time was the mental aspect, Tom, because up until that point, I totally trusted the universe, right? And I trusted that if you worked hard and you did what you were put on this planet to do, which at that time I thought that I was put on this planet to be a fashion designer, then it all works out. And for me, it didn't work out. And so I was just it really shattered my belief in the universe and in, what are my belief systems and all this kind of thing. So it more so than the physical was the mental of oh my gosh, what does this mean? So, I was I'm never going to be an entrepreneur again. I'm never going to build a business again. That lasted about a year. And then I started my next business, which was a fashion styling business. So this was a service-based business. And in the space of 4 years, I had 2 of the biggest contracts in the country. So I was the fashion editor at Women's Health and Fitness magazine, and I was the resident stylist at our biggest radio and TV network here. At that same time, I was doing TV presenting. I'd just been on Project Runway. I don't know if you're a Project Runway fan,
Yeah,
Tom.
totally.
Of course. So I could tell that about you for sure.
Thanks.
So I was on Project Runway. I was the TV presenter for fashion TV. So again, I thought that I was living this dream life of, getting flown around the country to do TV and, fashion editor jobs and celebrity styling jobs. And again, thinking like, this is it, I've made it, da da da. And again, the universe basically pulled the rug out from under me and was like, no, you're not doing this anymore. So in December of 2014, I lost both of my fashion styling contracts within the space of a week. So I went from being like the, 2 secure jobs to having basically no work. And It was basically like, okay, you have to start again. You got to start from scratch. I started being a freelancer again. And at that point I was just like, oh man, I'm like, I don't have this in me anymore. Like I don't have the drive to build this business up again. So it was back to square one. Funnily enough, my brother, who was sort of a mentor and a manager for me, had been on my back to create e-courses. And this was back in 2014. So I created a bunch of e-courses that help people become a fashion stylist, so the business side of fashion styling. And I just kind of threw them out there, not thinking it was a thing, not knowing that it was a business, da-da-da. And once I lost all my jobs and I was back at, again, questioning, what is my purpose? What am I doing here? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, what's the grand plan? I kind of like turned to these e-courses and were like, well, you're all I've got. Like, this is all that I've got right now. I need to figure out how I'm going to make this career work. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years, turning my digital marketing and my e-courses into a brand, into a business. And wouldn't you know it, Tom, this is my dream job. Like, this is my dream career and my dream life path, because not only do I get to work from home, be completely location independent. I'm actually a huge introvert, so a lot of the time I don't even have to leave home or see anyone, which is kind of my dream. And also I get emails every single day from people going, oh my gosh, Amber Renae, you've totally changed my life. I can't believe that I found you. You're a godsend. Like, thank you so much. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And there is no way that I could have gotten to this point had I not done the fashion styling business and the fashion design business, and the engineering, in fact. So it's just so funny, I guess, funny in, inverted commas, how it all kind of works out,
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine. I mean, I love the fact that you hit these walls. I mean, honestly, I wish you wouldn't have, but at the same time, that's right. What's made you so strong and successful, and where you're at today, which is just fantastic. You didn't let it beat you down. And you just turned every one of them into an opportunity rather than, just sulking and, being depressed or whatever. And that says a lot about your character. So going through this, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like, not one, the first bankruptcy you had, but then the second issue that you have, your second company is just like, 2 weeks, doors closed. Like, that's so fast. What went through your mind? Like, how did you persevere through that?
So again, like, I know you just said, like, I picked myself back up, but it was not like that. Like, if anyone's going through anything like this at the time, it was so dark and so depressing. I spent 3 weeks in bed. My brothers used to have to come around and get me out of bed and feed me. Like, it was super, super bad, So if anyone's going, well, that's good for her. Like, she got, she got better. Like, it was a really tough time, and probably it took about 12 months each time for me to, to be able to get myself through it. And again, more so just the headspace of like, well, what do I believe now? Because, what I believed up until this point is no longer relevant. So it was really just that breaking down of belief systems and really getting back to grassroots of, trying to build my faith back up in the universe and trying to get back to like, okay, so this is what I know about the universe. What you think about comes to fruition, and really just getting back to the grassroots of like, these are the laws of the universe. So let's get back to the laws and study the laws so that I can, start building up faith again, I guess. Yeah.
So, and it sounds awesome with, you said your brothers helped you out. I mean, did you have, I don't know, did you meditate, journal? Did you have, that support network? Did you bounce ideas off of people? What was, or, you said you're an introvert. So did you just like hide in a cave and like self-heal, or did you seek outside assistance?
No. So I'm a I'm self with everything. So I'm a self learner,
Okay.
self motivator, self healer. So like, yeah, I need to do it all myself. Have always been like that. So with the self healing, yeah. So literally just sat in my introverted cave and looked online for guidance. So went deep into Abraham Hicks. Went deep into trying to figure out unlocking limiting beliefs, which is just so huge.
Yes.
Actually, I forgot there was another woman that I went deep with who I would go and see each week. And we were doing NET, which is neuro emotional technique. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's kind of not dissimilar to EFT tapping, which I think a lot of people know of.
Yeah.
So it's not a dissimilar practice to that. You're kind of trying to unlock the limiting beliefs and trying to dive into what your subconscious programming is actually all about. And so more so than the law of attraction, I think probably with the first two businesses, I was all law of attraction, right? I was all like, future focused and big goals and big dreams and big visioning, and I can do all that super easily. However, I had so many limiting beliefs underneath all of that was totally blocking any huge progress or any real, progress of where I wanted to go with my life. So for the last probably 3 or 4 years, or probably a bit longer, maybe 5 years, I've just been focused on clearing limiting beliefs, and that's sort of my big thing right now. Like I think that is probably more important than the law of attraction stuff. Like I think if you can get rid of all of your limiting beliefs, then the law of attraction happens naturally.
Yeah, I definitely, limiting beliefs are just, I think it's a bedrock. It's a foundation of, first off, it's who we are, and just identifying who we are is a huge commitment and a huge step. So being able to untie some of those beliefs, and it's all social conditioning. And I watched a video the other day, and there's only 2 fears you're born with, and it's man, now I'm on the spot. One was falling, and I don't even remember what the other one was, but the guy was talking about his son got scared of a ghost, and it was all because of a cartoon. And
yes.
So we pick up fears from other people, and then those these limiting beliefs that other people have, but we may have never even experienced something that would have caused that. So doing all this work, which is fantastic, and it's heart-wrenching. I've been there. I continue to do this stuff. Was there something that just really stuck out that you were shocked and surprised that you had a limiting belief around a certain aspect of who you are?
Oh, continually shocked and surprised every single day. I mean, I'm still doing this work, and I do the work every day. And daily I'm surprised at like, oh my gosh, that's what I've been telling myself this whole time. Like, no wonder, no wonder. And so I find this kind of work is like an onion. So you just peel back the layers and you kind of get deeper and deeper into your subconscious. And for me, it's really come in themes. And I found that the first theme that I really went deep with was self-love. So that was sort of back in 2014, 2015. And I really, unlocked all my beliefs around, do I deserve love? Am I worthy of love? Do I love myself? Can I look in the mirror and tell myself that I love myself? What is it about myself that I don't love? How do I heal all of those kind of things? And I went deep into that in 2014. I ended up proposing to myself in 2015 purely because I was gotten to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I super love you, Amber Renae. And, as women, we're kind of conditioned to hold out until someone else comes and loves us, right? Because we're like, well, when we get the man, then we're going to be happy. And when we get the marriage, then we're going to be happy. And I'd kind of gotten to a point where I realized, you know what? This is all within you. You have the opportunity to be happy now. So let's dive deep and let's do it. So I ended up proposing to myself, which was a kind of crazy thing to do, but it just felt right at the time. And it had a huge, profound impact on how I view relationships, because up until that point, I was like, well, you should just be with someone because, you're of a certain age and everyone else has got a relationship, so you should sort that out. But now after the proposal, I'm like, well, I'm kind of good. Like, I'm okay. I don't need someone to fill that hole because I've filled it myself. I complete me. So I've sorted all that out within my own self, and I don't need to look externally for those kind of feelings. So that was that, which was super fun. And then since then, I've kind of been going deep into, and what I'm working on at the moment is money stuff. So I'm deep into my money blocks at the moment, which is a whole new level of crazy.
Yeah, no, I get it. And, the marrying yourself. I mean, I have heard that story from other folks. And I do, I 100% agree with you. If you have to love yourself before you can love someone else, because you just can't fully, help someone. You're not help, but you can't love someone unless you love yourself. Or if you do, it's fake, or it's manipulating, or
conditional.
Yes, thank you. It's conditional. Absolutely. So no, so I applaud you. I mean, that's a very tough cookie to crack, I would say. So, going through this journey, and I do realize, introvert, and you did a lot of this, on a journey within yourself. But has there ever been a piece of advice that you received that really helped you, or you kind of use as a, parting, like your northern star?
Oh gosh. I guess like the piece of advice is probably just, I guess gratitude is probably like the key factor in all of this. So if you can like practice gratitude for everything, it does actually grow. Like that's probably the easiest way to get anything to grow. And I like to think about gratitude as the gratitude train. So I try to get on the gratitude train every single morning before I get out of bed. And what I found, Tom, is that if I can get on that train first thing in the morning, so before I even get out of bed, before I check my phone, I find that I'm able to reach a level of gratitude naturally throughout the day without having to force it. So like I find I'll just be walking down the street and be like, oh my God, look at that beautiful flower, or like, oh wow, look at that gorgeous dog. And I'll just be super grateful for the experience of life. If I've gotten on that train first thing in the morning. However, if I've kind of missed that and I just jumped out of bed or grabbed my phone and then gone about my day, even if I meditate in the morning, I still am not able to get that gratitude level of, just natural gratitude happening. So I guess that is sort of a big thing that I'd like to share with your audience, is trying to practice gratitude before you reach for your phone in the morning.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I remember getting on the gratitude train a number of years ago, and I would do it weekly. And as a part of a mastermind group I was a part of, and once a week we would post what we are thankful for, we express gratitude. And in the beginning, I just beat myself up because I would sit there, rack my brain, and I couldn't come up with anything. And I'm like, it's been a week. And yeah, and then you get to the point there, like you said, like, wow, look how beautiful that sunset is, or the sky, or that crack in the street. It's funny how it's a mindset shift.
Totally. And so I've now started trying to give gratitude to the things that are not working in my life. So if anything, so for a while there, I was in quite a lot of debt, like business debt. So I started giving gratitude to the debts, and I really reframed them around, because the programming that I'd written was, debts are bad. I'm a bad person for having debts. All of those programs, like I'm not good with money. What else was going on there? I'm not good at running my business. So all of these programs that were running in my head around the debts.
Right.
However, I reframed them to say, some company, so that credit card company, has had such a huge belief in my ability to run a business that they've given me credit virtually for free, and they've given me a loan that I can use to run my business, to grow my business, for a really low interest rate. And what a huge blessing that is, because there's no way I'd be able to grow my business so quickly if I didn't have that capital coming in from this credit card company. And so even just saying that right now, it's just giving me such ease. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, what a great company they are. Like, how fantastic, And so I really changed from going like bemoaning that credit bill every month. Like every time that bill would come in, I'd be like, oh, the bill, terrible. And so then I reframed it, and now I'm like, yes, thank you for lending me money. Like, thank you, you're awesome. And that has had a huge shift on the way that I view things. So reframing anything that's a little negative in your life, and giving gratitude to it, is a really great and easy way to, to elevate the vibration around that.
Yeah, I think, I completely agree on reframing. And the other piece of it is, I think a lot of folks, what they do is when they see like debt or anything like that, they see it as a failure, like you were saying. It's that social conditioning, programming, how they were raised, family, whatever it is. But the other way you could look at that is, lessons learned. Look what I've been able to do with this. Look what I've been able to give other people in their life. There's all these, just tons and tons of positive impacts that you can have. But I think as humans, it's like maybe it's a part of our nature. We just tend to look at things in a negative way, and being able to reframe it, flip it, 180 degrees, it's so powerful.
It's so crazy. And even just, again, like as I mentioned already, I'm going through my money blocks at the moment. And so I'm doing a lot of work around it. And the work is always like, look at your debt and you can see that you've got, see that you would have negative feelings towards your debt. And so when I was doing this work, I was like, I don't have negative feelings towards my debt. In fact, I feel really safe with that debt. And then I was like, well, why do you feel safe having debt, Amber? That is crazy. And it made me, and I was sort of digging into it, and I realized that having debt meant that I was still part of my tribe, my family, because we come from super lower class, and my parents had debt and they felt really bad about debt. And so for me to have debt meant that I was still part of the family. And that was the conditioning that I had told myself. So as long as I have debt, I'm still part of the family. And as soon as I pay that debt off, I'm no longer going to be part of the family. And we have this crazy family paradigm, this family money paradigm that we've all built into ourselves from a super early age. Things like don't earn more money than your family, don't earn more money than your father. Right. So all of these crazy things that we don't even know are happening, Tom. Like we don't even know that's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm 40 and I'm still learning some of this stuff. I obviously I'm still learning some of this. I mean, we all are. So it's just and we learn at different stages in our lives because of stories or experiences. So, you've talked about a couple of books and authors already. Is there something out there that you just really, hold dear that kind of help you get through some of these challenging times, or that's really helped you in your business, personal life, or anything like that?
Yeah, so there are two books that I'm loving. Well, one that I just absolutely adore, which I think if for any of the creative entrepreneurs on the call or anyone who's creative and they're sort of battling with their creativity, which, creativity can be a battle from time to time. I just super adore Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I just think the way that she speaks about creativity just blows my mind. Have you read that one?
I've listened to her podcast some, and and of course, the whole Eat, Pray, Love. I won't say much about that. I lived in Italy for a bit, so.
Oh, sure. You did your fair share of eating and loving, I'm sure.
Yep.
And then the book that is helping me a lot at the moment with my money blocks is Tapping into Wealth. So this is from Margaret Lynch. And even if you're into your tapping or not, it really goes through, she's got about 17 chapters, and each chapter is dedicated to a specific money belief or a money block or a money trauma. And for me, going through that book, I was just like, OMG, this is crazy. I didn't know that I had all of these. And so it really uncovered all of the different beliefs and blocks that I had around money. So if anyone out there is battling with their money, if you're finding that you've got, you can't just break through a barrier, if you've got the same amount of money coming in every week, if you've got the, debts, whatever it is, go and check out Margaret Lynch, Tapping into Wealth. It is mind-blowing, or at least it has been for me. And she's got so much free content online. There's heaps of YouTube videos. Get online and, just access her content. I think she's a brilliant teacher around this kind of thing. And she's an engineer as well. I love that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I put this when we first started or emailing about having you as a guest. Yeah, I've broken life down into these facets and that I feel that you have to master and become, just aware of, and then you can start becoming a master. And one of them is finances.
Right.
I don't know what it's like there in Australia, but, here in the U.S., divorce rates are astronomical. And it's typically around, they say communication, or they say, communication or sex or something like that. But when you really get into the meat of it, it's usually, they don't have their own emotional well-being taken care of. You've already touched on that. They don't have a good relationship with money. And if they don't have a relationship there, how can they even have a discussion about it with their spouse, especially if their spouse came from a completely different mindset and a paradigm. So, and I had not heard of that book, so I'm definitely going to check it out.
That sounds really good. And the scary thing about that, about the divorce rate, Tom, yes, people are getting divorced, super scary. However, as women, we've been programmed that we don't look after the money, right? The man looks after the money. We wait for the knight to come in shining armor, and he takes care of us. Right. So I don't know about your family, but every single family that I know, the man looks after the money. And so the woman has no understanding about the mortgage repayments, what the car bill is, how the electricity bill gets paid. So what happens when she's now 40 years old and divorced? all of a sudden she's got half of the income, but she's also probably maybe got half of the debts, and she has no clue how to manage that because she hasn't been managing it for the last 10, 20 years. And that is absolutely terrifying.
Absolutely.
I just think everyone needs to focus on, sorting out their own finances and really uncovering, any kind of money blocks that they have.
Yeah, my wife and I, one of the things that we have is we have goals, and they're all those categories I've already mentioned, and finances is one of them. And we have, we'll map out the goals around Christmas time. We're both off, and we'll map out our goals for the year. Now, 12 months, it's a long ways away, so we don't put like real big things out. But the first 30, 60, 90 days are pretty concrete. But finances, that's definitely one of the goals, and it's either something we want to purchase or something we want to pay off, or a trip that we want to do, or anything like that. And so it forces those conversations. And it takes it out of the dark. It puts it in the light, and you're going to have a discussion about it, and here you are. So
love it.
It takes the shame out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So good.
You've had quite a few different experiences here that have pushed you out of your comfort zone. What would you recommend to people? We often get on a path and we don't even know that we're on this path until we get shoved, and it doesn't have to be skydiving or anything like that. But, until we take a trip and we're like, oh, look at this. And you suddenly wake up. Do you have any experiences like that, or something you would recommend to people to attempt?
Well, I communicate to business owners, Tom. So if there are any business owners on the call, this is probably going to be more relevant to them. But even anyone that's wanting to become more confident and more comfortable with being seen. Like, this is another thing that I hear a lot of women, they don't want to be seen. They don't have the confidence to put themselves out there. So this is kind of more of that kind of vibe, like to help build confidence and to help overcome those nerves of not wanting to be seen. So this is something that I started doing myself this year, which is live streaming on Facebook, which for me is actually pretty terrifying as well, even though I do this for a living. So at the start of the year, I was like, Facebook is so critical to my business success and my business growth. So I need to get out there and get more visible to my audience. And live streaming is just so incredibly powerful. Like, it's got awesome organic reach, and it is really great for any business owners. So what I started doing at the start of the year was getting myself out there every week and doing a live stream, but I would do it on something that I was super passionate about. So rather than teaching, I was talking about this kind of stuff, like any of my daily practice or meditations or anything like that, and just got more and more confident with being in front of people and speaking each week and, getting out of my introverted cave every week. And it's really changed the way that I'm showing up in the world. And even just, in my day to day, I'm so much more comfortable with speaking to people and connecting. So it's had a huge impact on not only my business, but also me personally in terms of being comfortable with being in front of people all the time.
I'm sitting here smiling, listening to you, because the biggest audience I've ever publicly, got up in front of and spoke was probably about 2,000 people. And
wow.
It was awesome. I did a great job, if I say so myself. And it was actually televised across my entire company. So a lot of people saw it, got put on DVD, very frightening.
Terrifying.
Absolutely. I've done a lot of different things like that, but now getting on Facebook, I haven't quite bridged that gap yet. It's on my plan to do. Hopefully by the end of summer, I'll probably start doing that. I just got to figure out the technical side of it, and I'm in tech, so it'll be easy for me to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's terrifying. Like, the first few live streams, I remember I was more scared than when I would go and take a stage. I was super scared. Yeah. Well,
it is the internet, so
right.
We've seen all those memes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's fantastic. So we're all about this continuous growth, and we know we will never fully arrive. Yet we're motivated. And we're always going to try to strive to discover the best version of ourselves. Is there something that you're currently working on other than what you've already talked to about live streaming that you're really working on, you're spending some time in and trying to get the next version of yourself?
Yeah, for sure, Tom. So I've mentioned it a couple times already, but I am diving deep into my money blocks at the moment. So I started maybe about 6 months ago, and I'm just head first into every resource I can find. Like I'm on webinars, podcasts, blogs, anything that's going on, like obviously books. And I'm just trying to get really deep into it and really uncover those money blocks. And I think just to let people know what that looks like, and this isn't some way to like say, how great I am or anything, but I probably clocked up maybe 150 hours of working on my money blocks in the last 6 months. Like I am committed to getting this sorted. And that's only because I have all of the money blocks, Tom. Like I legitimately have every single money block ever. So I have a lot of work to do. And there was a lot of resistance when I started. I was like, I don't want to work on this, which is funny because I don't normally have resistance. I'm normally pretty motivated to do the work, but there was a lot of resistance. But working through it and trying to get it done and trying to get myself to that next level of income and success, really.
Well, I mean, it tells you a lot about the challenge you're facing when normally when you're challenged with something, you can just plow through it. But this was like, no, you didn't want to. That's
so much resistance. Yeah.
So what about, you talked earlier about waking up and before you get out of bed, touch a phone or anything, about expressing gratitude. Do you have any other personal habits like that you feel really contribute to your continual growth and moving forward in life?
Yeah, for sure. I've got a pretty hectic morning routine, which I'd love to share with your audience if
Absolutely.
That's cool. So after the gratitude practice in bed, I come out and I have a green water. So just water with vital greens and a scoop of pea protein. So Tim Ferriss says that the best way to maintain to keep your weight off is to have 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of rising.
I do it
so
too.
I do that. Oh, you do that too?
I do.
Yeah. Awesome. And then I do a bulletproof coffee, which is a Dave Asprey thing. And then that mix of oils, like fats and protein is really good for your brain. So once I'm doing all that, I do an hour of yin yoga. So yin yoga is that really slow, very slow yoga. And I listen to like either a podcast or a training or some kind of e-course that I'm currently working on. And then after that, I meditate for about 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and by then I already feel like I've achieved so much in my day. I feel really good about myself. I've done everything that needs to happen to me personally to get the most out of my day. And yeah, that's sort of the routine. It's a little hectic, but it really sets me up to have a productive day.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. I do some of the similar things. I just kind of parcel them out throughout the day. Do you have a wrap-up session that you do at the end of the day or maybe at the end of the week, like some routine? No,
I don't have a wrap-up. Okay. What do you do?
So I guess just real quick on the morning, I do the 30 grams protein within 30 minutes. I do usually either read or do a podcast first thing in the morning. And then I don't do any exercise. I'd save that for lunchtime because I'm a night owl. So around lunch, I start to get kind of tired and drowsy, and I go to the gym. I do CrossFit. I'm one of those crazy CrossFitters. And then in the evening before bed, I usually read or journal. And then one of the things I do in my business, and I got this from David Allen, Getting Things Done, back in the 90s. It was I do a reflection period from 3:30 to 5 p.m. on Fridays. And I go through everything that's on my calendar that have been on my calendar for that week, make sure I've captured all the action items, make sure if there's anything I need to follow up on, I follow up with people. If I'm waiting on other people, I ask them for updates on their action items. But it's just kind of like, it's a wrap up. That way everything is closed in a nice little box with a bow on top at 5 p.m. on Friday. And I don't have any anxiety or busting out the laptop over the weekend to work.
Really like that. I'm going to try that. Thank you for sharing. That's a great practice.
Yeah, no, thank you. So kind of wrapping up here, what about parting guidance? You got words of wisdom you want to lay on us?
Absolutely. So this is something that I've sort of only just figured out recently in my third business. I kind of feel like I wish I had known it in the first two. But there are 3 ways of achieving mastery, right? And this is something coming from Tony Robbins. So he's the man, right? So he talks about how you could either be a stressor. So a stressor in business, they sort of go along the business journey. When they come to a problem or a plateau, they freak out, they throw their lives upside down, they stress, they bust everything out, and then they eventually break through. And this is how they go in business. And this was me in my first 2 businesses, right? Whenever anything would go bad, I would literally turn my life and everyone else's lives upside down, and I would freak out. I would eventually figure it out, and I would get through. So you can either do business that way, or there's the dabbler, which gets to the same kind of issue, and they go, you know what? This is too hard. I'm not meant to be doing this business anyway. I'm just going to try something else. And then they just spend their whole lives trying new businesses because they haven't figured out how to get past that plateau. So you can either do business that way, or you can do business as a master. And so what a master does is they go along the business journey. When they get to the plateau or the problem, they find someone that has already been there. They learn from them, they study them, they do training with them, they get coached by them, and then they take their 10 years of knowledge and condense it into their, the master's 10 years of knowledge, condense it into their business, and then they progress through without any stress or any dabbling. And so this is kind of something that I've done in this business. In the first year of business, so 2015 was my first year, I took 18 e-courses. So 18 e-courses from people like Tony Robbins, Marie Forleo, like every kind of e-course imaginable I studied and I implemented in that first year. And I have no doubt that that's the reason why I'm so successful so quickly in this business, because, I was just able to learn people that had already done it. And I never did this before. And I'm just like, wow, I wish that I had known that in my first 2 businesses.
That's amazing. And I think that's fantastic. You know what is challenging, though, is, I think we do that in certain facets of our life. And we might have another facet of our life that we should be doing that in, but we don't even know.
Yes.
That's what I love about this stuff, though. It's super intriguing to me because, we all have blind spots. And it's great when someone points one out. It's tough and challenging. You might not want to hear it, but, it's great. That's how we grow. And the fact that you went through 18 e-courses, and you said the key word. You studied and you implemented. People just consume, and then they never take action. So that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So, Amber, I've got all your social media links and stuff like that, and I'm going to have all that in the show notes. But is there a preferred way that you want people to connect with you?
Yeah, I do Facebook live streams every week. If you're listening to this, I would love for you to come on over and leave me some hearts on my Facebook live streams. As I mentioned, they're pretty terrifying for me still, so it'd be great for you guys to come over and check out. We do content on personal branding and small business growth and that kind of thing. So things like social media and networking, that kind of thing. And my Instagram, I've got 50-something thousand over on my Instagram. So if you're that kind of vibe, come and connect over on Insta.
Cool. All right. And just a final thing. Do you have anything that you want to share, like anything you're currently working on? Want to promote anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually got a free e-course for your audience. Ooh. If they go to www.amberrenae.com/free, I'm sure you're going to link it up. That it will take them to a personal branding influence course, which will teach you kind of the 5 strategies around becoming a personal brand, becoming a recognized influencer in your niche, and amplifying your impact, which is kind of what I'm all about. So if you want to become more well-known and more recognized in your field, then come on over and grab my freebie.
Wow, Amber, thank you for that. And, really appreciate you sharing your story. It was, you had a lot of turmoil there in the beginning, but just hearing how you've turned that around and how you continue to be successful, and you've, taken those lessons that you've learned and turned them into, it's been you've really turned into, I'm a loss for words here. You continue to be successful, and you haven't let it get you down, and you're helping other people. And I think that's so freaking fantastic. I applaud you. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, again, Amber, it's a pleasure speaking with you, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for letting me connect with your audience, Tom. I hope this has served you guys.
There's so much content in this episode. Amber shares with us her journey. She went from surviving cancer, multiple bankruptcies, business failure, and pivoting from completely different industries. The 3 items I guess I took away from this are just her comments about self-love, clearing your limiting beliefs, and her ability just to stay positive throughout all the challenges that have been presented to her.
Thanks for listening to the UpRev Ninja podcast with your host, Tom Hudson. Navigate to our website at uprev.ninja today, where you will find additional resources to help you discover the best version of you. While you're there, join our newsletter and join the discussion on your favorite social media platforms. We've got some awesome guests lined up to share with us how they are becoming the best versions of themselves. Again, thank you for listening. Now it's time to go out and uprev your life.